Paramount buried a Top Gun sequel that would have changed everything, and the reason they killed it is something they never wanted you to know. Tony Scott finished development on it. Tom Cruise was attached. The script existed. Then, in the span of one corporate decision in 2012, Paramount buried it so completely that almost nobody remembers it was ever real. This wasn't a pitch deck. It wasn't a treatment scribbled on a napkin. It was a greenlit project with money behind it, with the director who made the original iconic, on a fast track for theaters by 2014. And the reason it disappeared is worse than you think. Go back to 1986. Top Gun opens on Memorial Day weekend and makes $8.5 million on its first day, a number that stops Paramount's finance division cold. By the time it finishes its run, it has pulled $356 million worldwide on a $15 million budget, a 23-to-1 return. In Hollywood, that number doesn't just make a studio happy, it makes a studio desperate. Within 18 months, Jerry Bruckheimer was in rooms at Paramount developing a direct sequel. Tony Scott, the director who had turned a Navy recruitment ad into a cultural moment, was sketching what came next. The concept was radical. Don't just return to Maverick, show the audience what happened when the cameras stopped rolling. Show the real war he flew into, not the movie version, the actual one. Here is what the trade press buried. Between 2010 and 2012, Paramount had a completed development package for a Top Gun sequel, and this was not the film you saw in 2022. This was Tony Scott's version, developed with screenwriters who later worked on the mission. Impossible franchise, built around a central conflict that had nothing to do with legacy or nostalgia. It was about obsolescence. A pilot whose entire identity is built on physical skill and instinct, watching machines replace everything he is. Tom Cruise had not just agreed in principle, he had reviewed drafts. Budget conversations were happening. Internal Paramount documents from that period, later cited in trade retrospectives, placed the film on a fast track for a 2014 release. The deal was signed, the director was locked, the script existed. Then August 19, 2012 arrived. That was the day Tony Scott died. And what followed was not just grief, it was a corporate calculation. Paramount had a property worth hundreds of millions, suddenly without the creative voice who understood it. What the studio did next is the part they have never explained. Rather than hire another director and continue Scott's version, Paramount put the project in turnaround, which means the studio holds the rights, controls the property, and actively stops developing it. They don't greenlight a replacement. They don't let another filmmaker buy the script. They just hold it. And Scott's version quietly disappeared. Here is the part they really buried. Paramount didn't shelve Tony Scott's Top Gun because they were grieving. They shelved it because his version was going to cost them something more valuable than money. Scott's script was built around a thesis the studio didn't want on screen, that the American fighter pilot, the iconography Top Gun had sold to an entire generation, was already obsolete. Drone warfare had changed everything by 2012, and Scott's screenplay said so, explicitly, uncomfortably. The Navy had been a co-production partner on the original, providing planes, carriers, and access worth tens of millions in production value. When Paramount quietly showed them the direction Scott's sequel was heading, the access conversations went cold. Not officially, not in a press release, but the co-production framework that had made the original possible and affordable no longer existed for this version. Paramount faced a choice: make Scott's film without Navy cooperation at a budget that made no financial sense, or wait, find a safer story, one that celebrated the mythology instead of questioning it. So they waited a decade, rewrote the premise entirely, and gave you a film the Navy was proud to put its logo on. Remember that greenlit 2012 project? That's exactly where it died. Think about what Scott's version would have meant. A studio blockbuster from the director of the original, starring Tom Cruise at the peak of his career, asking openly whether the mythology of American air superiority was a story the military had sold Hollywood. In 2014, that film would not just have been commercially enormous, It would have changed the conversation about how the Pentagon partners with studios, a relationship that operates almost entirely in the dark to this day. Instead, you got nostalgia. Beautifully shot, expertly crafted nostalgia. And the version that had something real to say was erased so thoroughly that most people don't even know it existed. Which raises the question nobody in the trades will ask. How many other studios made the same calculation, on other properties, with other directors? And which version of which film is sitting in a vault right now because it said something somebody powerful didn't want said?